You may not want to increase the sales of the company you work for because you're happy, but you know what? Dive in, get in the pool and be a good player, be a good team member. Being part of a successful team is so much better than being part of a mediocre or a weak team. Being part of a mediocre or a weak team is really demoralizing and it makes for not a happy workplace. Welcome back to Driven to Success. I'm Vic Tarasik, joined by my co-host and good friend David Wofford. As people across the automotive aftermarket look ahead, one question keeps coming up. How do you prepare for the coming year? And that's what this conversation is about. This isn't a prediction episode. We're not here to chase trends, headlines, or anything like that. Instead, David and I want to talk about how leaders across the industry, shops, distributors, manufacturers, partners are positioning themselves for what's next. Because progress in this business doesn't happen in silos. It happens when the entire industry is aligned, intentional, and willing to adapt. Whether you're listening at the end of a year, the beginning of one, or anywhere in between, this episode is about perspective, preparation, and moving forward with confidence. All right, so David, you're having conversations across the industry every single day. When you think about preparing for the year ahead, what do you see in Rise to the Top?
Rising to the top. Well, I really think to be able to rise to the top, there is certain things you want to look at. And really the first thing that comes to my mind is always, and it's not, don't take this the wrong way, and listeners, don't take this as being lazy. Believe me, we jump in with both feet all the time. But I
Mhm.
really always want to figure out ways to be more efficient, work smarter instead of harder.
Okay.
And again, don't take that out of context, but anytime you can be more efficient, you're going to actually have more personal time. And, finding that work-life balance, I'm taking that line straight from shop owner coach, but
Yeah.
that work-life balance is very, very important. So, uh, what I tend to do is reflect and
All right.
say, okay, what have I been doing?
All right.
What works good? So there's no sense, tweaking something that's working real, real well. And then what are the areas that maybe I struggle or fumble or, it just seems to maybe take more time than I think it needs to, or it just seems to be a little bit more of a struggle to get completed.
Mhm.
And those are the few widgets that, and again, I say few, believe me, I've probably got a lot of things I need to work on. Vic, don't say anything.
I won't say a word because my list is probably longer than yours, much longer than yours.
However, yeah, right. So, however, I do think that again, you got to get to reality when you're working and you're wanting to refine how you go to business, how you handle certain things. Let's keep the list quite small. I was sharing
Mhm.
with Vic just a few minutes before we even started this podcast. Uh, One of the things that I think always is beneficial for me is how do I stay organized? We all have a lot on our plate. And
Right.
there's some things that could be done in seconds, some things that could be done in minutes. There's some things that are a little bit more project oriented. And it's just something I learned a long time ago in a class that I took. And it was to be able to identify if you have, especially the bigger projects, how do I decide which one to start with?
Right.
And it really got down to, what would be whatever the item is, what would be the number one, the payoff, and how much time does it take to actually get that completed?
Mhm.
In other words, a timeline and how much time to get completed. So I'm going to absolutely focus on separating quick items from items that do require hours, or maybe even days or months worth
Right.
of doing. Another item I'm very excited about, and again, I've mentioned it offline with Vic and with maybe several listeners that are going to hear this, is how do we duplicate ourselves
Mhm.
if it's possible? Um, could I ever be Vic? No way. I mean, I'm just not that good. But
Right.
how can I take certain components and
Right.
duplicate myself across the country because,
Right.
I'm coast to coast. And so we basically what we came up with is a certification program. We have a huge opportunity out there with our different nameplates, our banner, service center marketing programs. But there's like 35 components inside of this marketing program, and so there's a lot going on there. As a salesperson, what do we focus on? What do we not focus on? What if somebody asks us a question on an item that we didn't focus on?
Mhm.
And so we kind of put ourselves in harm's way a lot of times, and a lot of that is then the questions come back to me.
Right.
Hey, I don't mind answering them, but bottom line, how can we be more efficient out in the field? And so, kind of just took a look in the industry, and I said, who's good at getting people to retain information? And that's ASE,
Right.
Automotive Service Excellence Program. And so they have certifications for all different aspects of technicians. Well, why can't we build something like that for our sales teams and our marketing teams?
Mhm.
If they feel better about knowing the content and retaining the content, then again, it's going to be less phone calls in here. And as I mentioned, I love talking to everybody out there. Sometimes, some days, I'm backed up 4, 5, 6 phone calls at one time, which means over the next couple hours, I got to get back to them. So, trying to make it more beneficial for the salesperson out there, more beneficial for me. So, that's one major project that I worked on in 2025. However, because it's such a big project, Vic,
Mhm.
I'm not going to be able to see the payoff until we get into 2026 because
Right.
we're going to launch it, and we're going to launch it in January. And so I'm stoked about that because I think it's gonna benefit quite a few different people. It's gonna benefit could be 2,000 salespeople
Right.
that are under our nameplates, and there's 3 or 4 people in this office that are constantly, responding to those kinds of questions out there.
Well,
Um,
I've seen the list that you have of elements, and as a sales rep, I can imagine when you're looking at that, it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff to learn. Now, and I look at that list, and it's something very similar with what we do with our clients when they come on. Like when they come on, we have 6 major areas we work on, but inside of those areas are a whole bunch of small items. Do we work on them all at the same time? Absolutely not. What we do is, and probably the same thing what I'm assuming you're going to train your reps to do, is find the one that's got the highest value for that particular shop at that time.
it sounds like you've already been through my training because that's like after I cover all the aspects, then it was kinda like, where do you start? And you're right, find the pain points, find the needs, find
Yeah.
the item that will generate the highest value.
Yeah.
You're spot on.
Well, and it gets because that's what we do. That's how we develop the success with our clients is we look what do they need right now?
Mhm.
They may have a really good marketing program going on. Are we going to talk to them about marketing? No, but they may not be really good at time management. They may be getting the cars through the door, but they're not, maybe not good about selling hours or inspections. So, what you do and what we do is very similar and aligned. And I love the process that you're doing because I got to vouch for it. It works. It really works. And I agree too. It can be really overwhelming, especially when there's so many components to it to learn. But how do you need to eat an elephant?
One
One bite.
bite at a time is the way I know how to do it.
Exactly, one bite at a time. So, you guys, so you're teeing up a good 26. You're seeing the soft launch on this, and I love what I'm seeing. I can't wait to see this thing get some serious traction with the people out there and the people that are working with you.
Yeah, and you're right. One of the things that we did is a project this large, there could be 1, 2, 3 revisions to it, and so one
Mhm.
of the things we did is we published a boot camp, and the
Okay.
boot camp brought in the first group of people that will ever see this information from all across the United States, and we had, I wanna say, about 14 folks that came in from, I'm gonna say, like 9 or 10 WDs, so it was a good mix that was out there.
Okay.
We went through all the material, we
Mhm.
went through the questions and answers. Evidently, I was getting too overly excited with my questions and answers
Right.
because they were getting quite lengthy and all that. And hey, this boot camp bunch took it under the chin. They helped me out tremendously because we were able to clean up, some of the questions and answers.
Mhm.
Again, it's made to, are we retaining the information out there?
Right.
And so sometimes you got to actually take one, two, three runs at it, and then you be ready to go. So I'm just can't wait to launch it. We got one little caveat that's kind of almost done. We're waiting for the paint to dry on it, and January is going to be it, and then we'll be able to come back and report to all of our listeners how it went.
Nice,
So
nice. I love it.
that's kind of a piece that is happening here at the Pronto Network, and
Right.
so Vic, I'm asking you because there's so much that goes on out in the service center world
Mhm.
with the shop owner coach. And it looks like your world is expanding.
Mhm.
And as it expands, it's going to get a little bit more challenging, I guess, or
Sure.
challenge accepted.
Yep.
And I'm kind of curious, where Vic's going in 2026.
Well, it's really cool because I'll tell you how we do it, and then this what I'm about to lay out for you is universal. Whether you're a rep, no matter where you're at in industry, in business in general, in life in general, how we approach it. We have written goals. Dr. Albert Morabian out at University of Southern California did a study on goals. Found that they were written, they were measurable, they were achievable, they were relevant, had timetables, smart goals. So we have smart goals. Whatever we put a goal down, it's not a wish. It's not like year end. It's like we want to grow. No, we want to grow by X, or we want to see our clients achieve this. With our clients, they set their own written goals at the beginning of the year, and it's part of our scorecard, and we can track them. So it's written, and the next part of this is accountability. So the accountability part of it is I'm going to have somebody hold me accountable. Somebody that a mentor, a friend. Typically, it's not a relative or a spouse. Those usually don't work out too well. We probably have some
Yeah.
really good stories about those.
I'm plead the fifth.
Yes, sir. But then we have a BHAG.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's BHAG? Is that a plant, an animal? Is that something you can eat?
No, a BHAG is simple acronym. A BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal.
Okay.
Okay. This came from Jim Collins, who wrote the book Good to Great. Love book reading because it will help you to really expand how you think. And Jim tracked successful public companies that they grew consistently over the years and were still in shape. He found a number of things in common. But one of the things was a big, hairy, audacious goal. Basically, like you, is you want to train 2,000 salespeople this year? That's a big, hairy, audacious goal. We want to start 820 groups? Same thing. It's a big, hairy, audacious goal. Sometimes that goal may need to be changed one way, one direction or another, but it's enough to stretch you because we can set a very achievable goal. Example could be losing weight. I want to lose weight at the beginning of the year. I want to lose 1 pound in 1 month. Is that doable? Absolutely. Well, if I want to lose 10 pounds, okay, that's a pretty hairy goal. And you remember me when I was, you know, this big. I was 280 pounds, and losing 70 pounds in a 6 month span was not easy. Losing 85 pounds in a 10-month span, that was a big, hairy, audacious goal, and it's achievable. So you want to have a goal that really stretches you. Like one client, he came on and he was like doing 1.4 million. And I said to John, I go, I'm going to set your goal at 1.8 million. And he goes, oh no, that's not going to happen. And my response to him was, you're right, it won't. Uncle Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or can't, you are right. He came back Monday and he goes, you know what? I was wrong. I am in the way. And he goes, we're going to set that 1.8 and we're going to hit it. And you know what? He came really close to hitting it.
Real quick, Vic,
Yeah.
I, as a listener, all of a sudden, I've got a question up here.
Okay.
I want to know what happened, what changed it went through the weekend, it sounds like,
Mhm.
and he came back to you and said he was wrong. What did you ask him? What was the thought process? Because it sounded like he was pretty aggressive on, whoa, wait a minute, that isn't going to happen.
What took
What was
root
the
with
reflection point? What was the defining moment for him?
the goal was too scary for him.
Okay.
He didn't want to fail.
Too hairy for
Too hairy, too big.
him.
But then he sat on it and he looked at it over the weekend. It's like, what have I got to lose?
Exactly.
And that's really what it came down to. And he grew into it. You know what's really exciting as a coach of this shop? It's really cool that when we started setting his 2026 goals, because he's going to close this year at. So he went from 1.4 to 1.8. This year he's going to close it at 2.3. So he's up 500,000 from the previous year. He's already set his 2026 goal at 2.9. It's doubling his sales in 2 years with not doing many things different, not hiring a lot of different people. He just changed his processes. So this is a good example of a big, hairy, audacious goal, how it stretched him and how accountability, encouragement, and training along the way allowed him to grow into it. He's the one that achieved the goal. We at Shop Owner Coach did not. We helped him to realize what what he could achieve. And there's so many times when we work with clients, they can achieve so much more. And so many, and I've done this, David. I've been in my own way as a shop owner. I was in my own way. A lot of times as a person, I've been in my own way because I've been scared of what's through that door. But part of goal setting is facing the fear. You got a smile on your face.
Yeah. Well, it is facing the fear. But what just hit me is you're just not in this alone,
No.
especially if you have a spiritual side to your thought process.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not gonna derail the whole conversation, but fear is something that does affect our goal setting, and it does affect sometimes us by not obtaining our goal, and really got to look at sometimes the other side of things. You know, how much is what's going to absolutely, what's the most catastrophic thing that could happen
Right.
is out of 2,000 salespeople, I want my program to train a bunch of salespeople. My goal wasn't to train 2,000. It's to me, that's our 100%. Really, all I'm trying to do, I will be, and you can even film it, but I will somehow figure out how I'm not gonna do a backflip. I'll do a cart or attempt to do a cartwheel if I just have 100 guys.
Right.
Do it in the first 90 days.
Right.
And then another 100 guys. And so sometimes our goal setting, it's gotta be, I wanna say obtainable, but sometimes when we say, "Oh, it's a attainable goal," that's too easy. So it's gotta kinda be, you gotta stretch yourself a little bit out there.
Right.
And, but at the same time, what do I got to lose?
Yeah.
Even if only 5% of my sales guys take this training course, I've just duplicated myself by another 100 guys out there.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing is sometimes we don't want to accept these smaller wins, but because they look too small. 5%, that's 100 people. That's a big difference. It's
Sure.
better than zero. It's way better than zero. And how many people at the beginning of the year that are listening to this don't set realistic goals, whether it be improving my close ratio with my client, improving my sales rate with the shops that I serve, getting more shop owners to a clinic that you have. I mean, heck, if you improve it by 10%, you're 10% better. And I think one of the things, going back to John, one of the things that scared him about this goal was failure. And for the guys listening to this, one of the things men fear more than anything is failing. And a lot of times we derail things. We derail our own success because we're too afraid we're going to fail. We don't take enough risk, Now, there's unreasonable risk we shouldn't take, but risking a little bit more. Having a conversation with a really gnarly shop owner like you had a long time ago, you know, was it 18 seconds was you timed it when I chased one of your reps out?
Yeah, I didn't think that wasn't that tough. It's just, but I totally understand what you're talking about there, and really, what's the toughest you got to deal with? I mentioned again, we were just talking a little bit before we got on the podcast, and I had a service center owner walked in at the absolute wrong time,
Mhm,
and he was having a bad day.
mhm,
And as soon as I showed up, I mean, it was not only both guns a-blazing at me, and I'm not even wasn't even his normal sales guy, but it was being verbally attacked.
mm,
And everything went downhill in a matter of 15 seconds. And, anger, I mean, it was like, I'm done. I'm out of here. And so I'm telling that story because I'm sitting there saying, it took me 5.5 months, and a little bit of prodding
right,
to say, let me go back out there.
mhm,
And just a real quick, short goal is I want to go back out there and fix it. Something's gonna happen in a 2-minute conversation. So that's a very, very short window, short goal, short everything, but it's either gonna get worse or it's gonna get better.
right,
And I guess where I'm going with this, so much of it has to do with attitude.
right,
And my attitude was, I'm going back out there and I'm fixing it. Now, how do you fix, every situation is a little bit different. I decided I had to 100% catch this service center owner's attention
mhm,
and be so off the wall that he was just literally standing there with his mouth open.
right,
And the long short story was back in, instantly he sees me and he's got fire in his eyes.
mhm,
And I just flat out right in front of him told him, "Hey, I want to redo." And it's like, did that comprehend? I want to redo.
right,
We got off on the wrong foot. It's been way too long. I should have been in here a couple days after it happened. I waited 5.5 months. Shame on me, but I want to redo. And then I turned around and walked out his door. Just left him hanging. Now I've really got his attention.
right,
He doesn't know if I've gone crazy, if he should be mad, what take. So I walked back in. I've known this guy for years. I walked back in and introduced myself like I've seen him for the first time. Hey, how you doing? My name's David Wofford. I'm with. And back then, it was one of our big WEs. It was with XL Parts in Houston, and he's stunned,
mhm,
and then he bust out laughing
right,
like, "Man, you are crazy. How can I be mad at a guy that darn crazy?" So, sometimes they're very, very short windows. Sometimes they're huge projects that are out there. And Vic, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, nobody likes to be, to fail at a goal.
right,
So, is it obtainable, but is your heart in it to get there? In other words, you have to have drive yourself, to get there. And I challenge listeners, the easiest part to think about. I know we're talking about business and our daily jobs and all that kind of stuff, but think about the last time you had a personal goal and you hit it, or the last time you had a personal goal and it just fizzled immediately.
mhm,
Think about where your brain was on that. How much how much courage do you have? How much do you say, "By God, I want this. I want to get this done. I want to make this happen. This is going to work. This is going to take place." Or, yeah, so many times we all talk about weight. Well, Vic, you did. You lost a ton of weight and you've kept it off for years. And I don't know, maybe it was I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of carrying all this weight around. I don't know what your, what the motivation was for that. Some of us, it could be health reasons. Some of
right,
us, we're tired of just carrying it around. Some of us, whatever the case may be, I'm getting tired of buying bigger pants.
right. Well,
But
can I tell you what the motivation was?
sure.
In fact, when I went to this weight loss clinic, they asked me, they're like, "You wanna lose weight?" I'm like, "Well, I'm here. I was here because my spouse wanted to lose weight." And, I talked about accountability, and that's why I wanted to jump in here, accountability. We held each other accountable. Now, She was pretty heavy, and I was too. I was okay with how fat I was. Now I look back, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I was as big as a house." And what made it happen was I was supporting somebody who's extremely important to me and was willing to make that sacrifice. So her goal essentially became my goal. And now the goal is to keep it off. Now, this time of year when all the snacks are out and all the food hits the table, is it easy to keep it off? Not really. But the
Yeah,
motivate,
there's some bad influences out there.
yeah, I know. Look, we got people who are going, yeah, I sent them cookies, and they snicker in the background. It's like, yeah, I count for that one extra 1 pound that they just gained. But it's funny when you look at goals; they're the achievable ones are the ones that are have a motivation behind it. For
Absolutely.
me, with Marlene, losing 85 pounds was no big deal because I was supporting my best friend. So part about achieving the goal is when you are supporting somebody. In this case here with Marlene, she wanted to lose weight. So I was like, cool. I'm not concerned about losing weight, but I got the benefit out of it. So that could be another thing is supporting the goals of the people that you support. You may not want to increase the sales of the company you work for because you're happy, but you know what? Dive in, get in the pool and be a good player, be a good team member. I'm encouraging you to be that, not telling you to be that, because I want you to hear this. Being part of a successful team is so much better than being part of a mediocre or a weak team. Being part of a mediocre or a weak team is really demoralizing and it makes for not a happy workplace. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. It generates, in our lifetimes and our different positions and stuff, there's been times where absolutely you're on the winning team. You're kind of in a stagnant team or you're
Hmm.
on the losing team.
Hmm.
And I tell you, the stress level on the losing team
Yeah.
is so crazy. The stress level's not as bad, but when everything's just kind of running mediocre, okay, but it does. It kind of saps you a little bit,
Hmm.
and then being on the winning team or having even a department that's just kind of rocking and rolling and on fire, it just keeps you going and keeps you motivated. And so, that's another piece to you're right, goal setting is, number 1, is it there? Is it what you wanna do?
Hmm.
Is the passion there?
Right.
Will it benefit others? Because there's so many pieces of payoff depending on what environment you're in. You mentioned
Uh,
the team, and you know what? If you can be a viable team player, then your environment's gonna be nice.
right. So do you remember back in like the late 2000s when you were at Excel when our purchase from you guys dove? What was interesting is, talking about being part of a successful team, I was part of a 20 group and we were always growing. We were on 20% growth rate. We were 20% net operating income. Well, I went through a period and the name of the group was Bottom Line Impact Groups.
Okay.
I, I went through a personal challenge because my mom got sick and I was flying back and forth to New York. I did this for 2 years, back and forth, take her to chemo, take care of her. During that time, the shop suffered and you guys didn't know it. But my team, my shop suffered, the team suffered because, honestly, at that point, there's something extremely important to me, which is my mother. I didn't care about the shop. But what happened, we began to define the bottom line. We were always in last place. And you talk about demoralizing.
Oh,
It was like, out of 20 shops, you're like the last. And throughout the year, we were setting goals and constantly adjusting them back. And so you might hear me talk about being successful, but gosh, I've been the other end of that too. It was a challenge, but there were outside influences. Could I handle them differently? Probably. Did I learn from them? Absolutely. Would I change how I took care of my mother? Absolutely not. It was worth every bit of the 6 figures it cost us to take care of her. But the demoralization I learned from because I don't ever want to see the people that I'm around who hang in that area. You got to figure out what's going on that you can help them get past there. Because there's usually, if you're an underperformer, there's usually something that's causing them to drag back. You never know what it is, but you got to take the time to talk to them. I know I just pulled this off a tangent, but I just want to say this. I've been underperforming. Know what it's like? It sucks.
Yeah, you don't have that warm fuzzy about yourself when you know you can do more and you can do
Yeah,
better.
yeah,
You're right. You're right. So it's really, I think there's a lot that we discussed. However, I don't think it's really that hard to be able to say, all right, here comes 2026. Of
hmm
course, we use a new year all the time to
right.
refresh. And hey, if that's a good excuse to get heading in the right direction, who
Yeah,
cares, right?
yeah, right.
So let's use it. 2026. You know, what are we going to do new, different? Is it really is it really what you as an individual want to do? Is it a specific sales goal, specific project you want to get
Mhm.
completed? Is it something at work? Is it something personal? And really dive down and say, how bad do I want this?
Right.
Because that's what we tend to see all the time is the more aggressive you are at wanting, the more aggressive, maybe the more aggressive you are that you needing. Sometimes health issues, hey, I need it, but
Yeah.
then the want kicks in.
Right.
I wanna not only do I need it, doctor's right, but I definitely want to feel better and get better. And so, goal setting should not be, in my opinion, complicated.
Yeah. One of the best books I can recommend for beginning of the year read is Atomic Habits, and you probably see it over my shoulder there.
Yes, sir.
Atomic Habits is really cool, and he talk this James Clear is the author who wrote this, and he's got a really great story, and it's a really easy read, and it's a fun read. And he talks about it establishing a habit one small thing at a time. Like if you've never done push-ups and you can only do one push-ups tomorrow or a half a push-up, do a half a push-up. But the key here is to establish a habit to where the next day you do a full push-up. Day after that, you do one and a half until you can continue to improve yourself to where you can become a high performer in that area. It's not always looking for the home runs. It's the singles, it's the doubles, it's the triples. And most times it's the singles that gets the person on base and to the home plate. And football, it's first downs that are usually done 2, 3 tries to get a first down. And so as you're looking to establish your goals for the upcoming year, set a BHAG, but set achievable goals. Establish habits that allow you to reach that goal and make them measurable, whether it be weight, whether it be financial, who knows what it is, but find the way to measure that. Because when you do measure it, you do see a little bit of success. What's going to happen is you're going to get all excited and want to do more of it.
Absolutely. So I need to ask you, how do you measure a half a push-up? Is that on the way down? Because if that's the case, I think I can make that goal right there.
Well, I would love to answer that question, but I had to come up with some kind of analogy that would work.
All right,
Uh,
I'm gonna go home tonight and I'm gonna try my half push-up, and I bet it's on the way down.
can we get a video of that, and we'll post it with post it at the end of this episode?
Yes, I'm not worried about the video of the half push-up. I'm worried about the full push-up video. That one's
Yeah, it's a
gonna be
way down.
ugly.
Yeah, it's one thing you do. I guess a half push up would be when you can do it with one arm. No, no, no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not gonna happen.
no, it's not going to happen. Um, I think that's all we got.
Yeah, I think so too. Keep it simple. I've got several. I got a couple of them in action, couple of them moving.
hmm
Another fresh idea that came over a couple days ago that's going to be in conjunction with so sometimes you can stack goals. So in
Right.
conjunction with a goal. So this banner certification, our service center marketing program certification program, uh, I decided that's not the only piece we're going to do. How are we going to keep it fresh? And
hmm
so a secondary goal that I've got is nothing more than sitting down, finding some dates on the
Yep.
calendar that are consistent dates, and put little bitty tidbits out of the exact same program all throughout the year. keep it fresh, keep it going. And again, I do feel it's a doable goal, but it's something I'm just, if it can help an initial goal even be more successful. So I guess I'm goal stacking. I don't know if that's even legal, but
I think you
I'm
can
goal
say goal.
stacking right now.
You can actually that is actually something that he talked about in Atomic Habits is goal stacking.
Well, I guess reading Cliff Notes does pay off still, huh? Hey, long time ago when you had to do book reports, what'd you do? Read Cliff Notes,
Cliff
huh?
Notes. Yeah, now it's ChatGPT.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
ChatGPT
Okay.
dot
I'm gonna
com.
check. I'm gonna check out Mr. Chat GPT.
Well, yeah, he's pretty similar to Mr. Google and Miss Gemini. Oh, well, David, Marlene and I wish you and Sandy an absolutely fantastic 2026. I trust that you will have a wonderful holiday. God's mercy continues to shine on you, and His grace goes before you every step of the way, and continues to bless you with health, financial, in every single way that He could. You fill in the gaps, maybe the ones that you don't see. That's our heart to you.
Well, I truly appreciate that, Vic, and same thing. Wish you guys the best and a very successful 2026, a stressless. I'm all big about that right now. A stressless
Yeah, yeah,
2026, and there is. I mean, we got to pick and choose our stresses, and sometimes
that's it.
that's part of our could be part of our goal setting that causes stresses, and it 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 should be energizing.
They
Reaching a
should.
goal should be energizing, not stressful. And sharing your story with that service center, he found out pretty darn quick, and the payoff
Yeah.
over the top, absolutely over the top. So I appreciate it, and sure you guys you got some hopefully a week or two of downtime with family, and we'll start 2026 off with a bang.
We're looking forward to the bang. Well, thanks, David. Yeah, yes, we are definitely planning some downtime.
Good.
We get done with this podcast, smooth sailing until the fourth. I think it's the 4th or the 5th of January.
Well, fantastic.
Be
So
well, and to everyone out there, from David and I, we wish you a happy New Year, prosperity, that you will have all the things that you want. Remember, you got to work for them, though.
absolutely got to put a
Yeah,
foot forward.
that's right. All right. For Driven to Success, this is Vic Tarasik.
And David Wofford, and we will see you next year.
As we wrap up today's conversation, here's the big takeaway. Goal setting doesn't have to be complicated, but it does have to be intentional. Written goals, accountability, habits built one small win at a time, and yes, a BHAG that stretches you enough to make you uncomfortable. Progress happens when you stop standing on the edge of the pool and decide to jump in. When you choose to be part of a strong team, and when you choose to stop letting fear of failure hold you back. From David and me, we appreciate you spending time with us, and we hope this episode helps you head into this year with clarity and confidence. And coming up on the next Driven to Success, we're bringing you a powerful conversation with a trio of world class shop owners. We'll talk about leadership, growth, and what it really takes to build a shop position for long term success. You won't want to miss it. See you next time.